Thank you for tuning in to Abundant Moments. I love to read Jesus' parables because he always spoke to people in parables, which were stories that illustrated a truth. And we all can relate to stories. I noticed, I've been preaching for many years, and a lot of times if I'm starting to lose people, if they're starting to get drowsy, then I'll throw in a story, and that always wakes people up because we like to hear stories. Well, Jesus told a parable, a story, about a man who had two sons, and the two sons, the scripture lets us know that he gave to them both their inheritance. The one had went to him and said, "Father, I want my inheritance now before you die." So he divided the inheritance between the two boys. We know that the one son, he went off and he spent all that he had. He ended up sleeping with the pigs, and he was Jewish, so we know this was a disgrace. He had no clothes, no food. He was poor. He was feeding the swine. That was what he was doing to try to make a little money. Finally, he came to himself. He came to himself, and he said, even the servants have it better than I do that work for my father. I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to beg him to just let me be a servant for him. And what a beautiful account. The Bible lets us know that as he's headed home, the Father is looking for him afar off. And that is Jesus letting us know that when we stray, when we begin to go our own way and forget about God, God is looking for us. He's looking for us afar off. He's saying, "Come back to me. I'm your answer. Come back to me. I love you." The Bible lets us know the Father was looking and he went running to him. And if you study the culture of that day, he wouldn't go running out to meet anybody. He was the landowner. He was the one that had all the money. He would have sent a servant, but no, he went himself. And God comes himself to us. I'm so thankful for that. And before the son could even get out the words, "Father, I've sinned against you," and "Father, I've wronged, and would you just let me be a servant?" the Father hugged his son. He called for his servants and said, "Bring the robe," while the son was still dirty. Put that robe on him. He said, "Bring the family ring," because the ring was what meant you could carry out family business, that signet ring. And he said, "Give him some shoes," because if you didn't have shoes, that meant you were a servant or a slave. And he said, "Kill that fatted calf. We're going to rejoice tonight and have a party." I love that account because so many times we know of people that they get mixed up in sin, they stray, they do wrong. And so often we say, well, they need to prove themselves. They need to do this, they need to do that. But I'm so glad that God takes us back just like we are. Even in our filth and our sin, he puts that robe of righteousness. It was always there when we're a child of God. And he puts that robe of righteousness, letting us know that it's right there, that we are covered with the righteousness of Christ. Nothing we could ever do, but it's Jesus, his blood, his sacrifice, his righteousness that makes us righteous in right standing in the eyes of God. And right away, he said, "You know what? You're not a slave. You're not a servant. Get those shoes on your feet." And you begin to carry out this family business. And so many times, as I said, we want to make people prove themselves for a while. We want to make them do this or do that. I'm so glad God just takes us back. And he says, "Yeah, I've been waiting for you. You're my child. You've strayed for a little bit, but you were always my child. And I'm going to help you. I'm going to show you how much I love you. I'm going to help you get right back on track and continue the work that you began." And today, if you're at that place that maybe you've strayed, come back, come running back to him. He's waiting for you. He'll run and he'll meet you. He's going to put that robe on your back and going to throw a party for you because he loves you that much. God is a God of love and restoration. Thank you for tuning in.